soda, alcoholic or otherwise. And the race has begun. So they're going to do the first of about maybe 10 equipment glitches throughout this run right off the bat. We enter the first town, Cornelia, walk immediately into the weapon shop and purchase a hammer. And using the equipment glitch that I described earlier very, very briefly, we can turn that into a piece of equipment known as the Knight's Armor and equip a copy of that on each of our characters. It normally sells, or you can buy it for a large amount later in the game, and it provides a hefty amount of defense. The advantage of putting it on right now is it's basically going to reduce most enemy attacks against our characters to very minimal damage, 0 or 1, so, which is why we do it here. We also do one additional copy, and then we sell that for 18,000 gold, which gives us enough room to buy potions, antidotes, and Phoenix Downs that will get us through pretty much the entire game. We shouldn't need to purchase any more. So looking as close as we can right off the bat, it's hard to tell who's exactly in front. It looks like Crrool's the first one out of the menu, and now he's heading out of the town. So once we have this, we make our way over to the Chaos Shrine, the first dungeon of the game, where the evil Garland has kidnapped the Princess Sarah from the King of Cornelia. So we can't proceed any further, but he's willing to build us a bridge in order to let us proceed further into the adventure. But first we have to rescue the princess. So we enter over here. Crrool got a really, really quick walk with low encounters. And so now he's made his way in the shrine. The other guys are not far behind. We quickly detour over here for the second item that we're going to be using for an equipment glitch in this run. In this case, it's just a leather cap, an ordinary leather cap, but it happens to correspond or shares an item ID with an item called the Judgment Staff, which is a bonus item that you would normally not see in other versions of this game. It was added as part of the bonus content of this version. It's a powerful piece of equipment that, when put on our characters, will allow us to be used as an item to cast Flare, and it's one of the quickest ways for us to deal with large packs of enemies throughout this early part of the game and throughout most of the game. So Crrool has made his way to Garland. Looks like Sigma just quickly beat him there, but once again, just a reminder, Sigma is playing against Boxmeister in this race, and Indy is playing against Crrool. So it doesn't matter what happens necessarily with all four of these guys, because they're individually racing each other. It's two races going on at the same time. The early strat for Garland is we just attack everybody with the Judgment Staff we have, and 3 or 4 attacks is usually enough to take down Garland. Garland shouldn't be doing much damage to us at this point. Once we've taken Garland down, the princess escorts us back to Cornelia. The king is very thankful for it, and we agrees to let us to build us the bridge to proceed next on our adventure. And we quickly stop and talk to the princess, as we have to pick up this important item that we will need towards the end of the game called the loot. If you attempt to leave, we talk to her, because if you try to leave the room without talking to her, she will stop you in a brief cutscene and hand you the loot. So it saves a little time to go talk to her directly. And then we get a quick cutscene of the bridge being built. Here, this is one of a few quick rest points throughout the run. It's about a handful of, it's maybe 5 or 6 areas where you're going to see a short cutscene of things that are going on. But otherwise, this is a pretty quick run with not a lot of downtime. Yes, they actually did. This is Cornelia in this game. So everyone's in the cutscene now. I believe Sigma was the first into the cutscene, so he should be the first out. I'll quickly talk about the runners. I haven't had a chance to introduce them yet. In this 16-man elimination bracket, we're doing a pretty standard March Madness style bracket where we're doing like 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15 seeds. We started with 32 in the group stages and narrowed that down to 16. And the ones you're seeing now are the top 16. The top 8 seeds were the winners of each of the 8 groups, and seeds 9 through 16 were the second place finishers in each group. So Sigma was the winner of his group and was the 5th seed. Crrool was the winner of his group and was the 3rd seed. Indy is the 14th seed in the current 16-man tournament, and Box, I believe, is number 11. No, I'm sorry, number 12. This is not single elimination, it's double elimination. So the winners here will continue on in the upper bracket, and the losers here will get knocked down to the lower bracket. Yeah, the estimated time for this run is anywhere between about 90 to 95 minutes. It can take a little bit longer. It might just depend on the RNG that these runners see. So Sigma is currently, until maybe early last month, was the world record holder of this category with a 127 time. He has since lowered it to 126.23. But another player, Double Drop, has actually passed him for world record with a 125.58 in this category. Crrool is actually one of the fastest runners, and he plays pretty much on console like myself. His current best time, I believe, is 128.05. Boxmeister and Indie, I'm actually not up to date on their PBs, but I know they're solidly in the low 130 range. It would appear that Crrool is just ahead of Sigma. So Crrool is currently leading Indie. Sigma is leading Boxmeister right now. But they are not far behind. They're both within a minute of each other right now. And there's plenty of time for that to flip around. Unlike a lot of the games you see in speed gaming, this is a very RNG heavy game. So the execution of the runners, while a factor in determining the final times, especially for the race times, the RNG can help flip this game around into the encounters and your luck with running from encounters. So we stopped over at Provoca to pick up a ship, and the easiest way to get that was a group of pirates that were holding on to it. So we used our judgment staff to blow them up, explode them, and then now we're making our way over to Elfheim right now. Sigma got an encounter with Sahagins, which can be difficult to run from with our equipment that we have early in the game, so he chose to use the staff to try to take some time, and that's going to be one of the few elements of runner preference you're going to see throughout this run. Most of the encounters they're going to run into are going to be escapable, but they may not all encounters are as equally escapable or as easy to run from as others. So the runners may choose to try to staff stubborn groups that won't let them run in order to just keep themselves moving. Right now, Sigma has stopped over in Elfheim to pick up gold needles. It's an item that will cure petrification on our characters. It's a safety item. We don't need it at this stage of the game, but we will eventually need it just in case we get stoned later on down the line. Crrool is fighting some wolves. Wolves are some of the tougher enemies to run from in this early game. So everyone's just making their path. People may or may not pick up their gold needles at this point in time, because we will be going past Elfheim a couple of times. So they may choose to pick it up later. Looks like Indie is actually the first one into the cave and has taken a slight lead on Crrool. So he's headed down first to the Marsh Cave. We're here to pick up a crown that's located on the 3rd floor in a chest. It's guarded by a group of enemies known as Pisco Demons. They can do a bunch of damage to our characters and tend to act before our characters. So you may see our players heal up before they encounter them. But they will... it's difficult for us to effectively deal with the Pisco Demons as a melee attack, so we will use the Judgment Staff to clear them out. So Indie's got 3 of them. Anywhere between 2 and 4 can spawn in this encounter. Indie's got them, and his White Mage goes and will staff the group. And that should be enough to kill them all. And then he'll pick up the chest. He'll pick up the crown in the chest just behind him. When Indie actually stepped on that tile, it forced an encounter with the Pisco Demons. There's a number of tiles throughout the game which force an encounter when you step on them. We just typically refer to these as spike tiles. That is the first spike tile we've seen throughout this run so far. You'll see a bunch more. So once Indie has the crown, he's going to race on out and go back the other way and take the crown over to the Elf King over at Astos. Or I'm sorry, at Western Keep. The Elf King Astos over at Western Keep. But first he's getting a couple of encounters he's going to try to run from. Boxmeister's in the middle of the Pisco Demons fight, it looks like. Crrool has just finished the fight, and now finally Sigma's on the fight. But I mean, they're all having pretty good We're pretty comparable luck to this point. So Indy's just the first one out, but there's plenty of opportunity for these guys to leapfrog each other, and for the lead to change hands many times. There was, I don't know, if any of you were watching last night, there was a match between myself and who was I playing last night? I'm sorry, blanking on the name right now. Mr. Jeffy Boy, and we tried to lead a handful of times. I took a large lead into the final dungeon, and unfortunately the encounters gave me poor luck, and he leapfrogged me and took over and wound up winning the race by a couple minutes. So now I'm languishing in the loser bracket, waiting for the next my next opponent at this point. So Sigma's making his way out. Everybody's out of the Marsh Cave now. Everyone's working their way over to Western Keep. Once we're there, we'll give the crown to Astos, who will reveal himself as the Dark Elf Astos. He'll have tricked us into retrieving the crown for him, and then he'll initiate a fight with us. And it's the first, probably real opportunity where our characters can actually die at this point, as Astos can cast a spell called Death, which has a chance to kill one of our characters outright. So everyone's close. It looks like Indy is the first one to reach Astos. The strategy for our characters on this one is going to be, we're going to tell our melee characters, the Ninja and the Thief, to attack with their Judgment Staffs, and we're actually going to have the mages use the Judgment Staff to cast Flare on him. This should collectively guarantee a round one fight, or try to give us as good of a chance of a one-round fight as possible, depending on the damage rolls of the Judgment Staff uses. And he didn't cast, it doesn't look like he cast Death, so Indy's going to clear this out in one round. Crrool also looks like he's got a chance to go. Everybody's in the fight now. Indy's the first one out of the fight. And as we see on Boxmeister's, Astos casts Death on his warrior, which is okay. We're not hoping for levels as much on the warrior as we are on the mages. So this should still, with lucky damage rolls, he may still be able to one-round this. And he did get a high roll on his white mage, so that was one round. So now that they have the Crystal Eye, which is an item they need to give to the Witch Matoya, which is the next objective. So they're going to basically walk back towards their ship and then head over to her cave. This is a little bit longer of a walk, and you may see them trying to optimize their movement such that they stay off of forest tiles as much as possible, as forests have a higher encounter rate than other types of tiles, such as plains or forests. I'm sorry, not forests, rivers or deserts or anything like that. So everyone's making their way over. It looks like having a hard time seeing where everyone is because everyone's jumping in and out of battles. Sigma's nearly made his way to the ship, I can see. Crrool is just behind. Sigma is ahead now. So Sigma has a slight lead on Boxmeister. Crrool seems to have a slight lead on Indy. This shark that Sigma ran into can be occasionally a pain to run from, so you may see them opt to try to kill it. It's not a particularly dangerous enemy to kill. Most of these enemies are not particularly dangerous to us in this early stage, other than undead enemies have a chance to paralyze our characters, and if the whole party gets paralyzed, it's basically called a paralock, and we're totally at the mercy of the enemies to see if we'll be able to get out of that. But they could easily wipe the party or just waste a whole lot of time. This wolf pack over here for Indy is giving him a lot of problems, so he's staffing him just to continue on. Sigma is continuing to sail over, so is Boxmeister. Crrool actually made it over and all the way to Matoya's cave, so Crrool is now currently in the lead. everyone's still pretty close to each other, so there's nobody with a huge lead at this point. So now that we've returned the crystal item to Toya, she'll hand us the Jolt tonic. Once we have that, we're going to return it to the prince at Elfheim, who's currently in a deep sleep that was caused by a curse, and giving him this Jolt tonic will wake him from the curse, and he'll reward us with an item called the Mystic Key. A number of treasure chests and rooms throughout the game are locked with the Mystic Key, and we need that in order to access them and get their contents, including a very important item we need that was way back at the start of the game, locked behind within a room that's locked by the Mystic Key right now. We'll need it to progress a little bit further in the story. So Box is in the cutscene. Indy just got the tonic. It's like Sigma is also on the way out now, heading back to his ship to sail back to Elfheim. Crrool's getting some unfortunate luck with this encounter against Big Eyes and Sahagin, so he's opting to staff them all, or to use the Judgment Staff to kill them. The Big Eyes, their only real move is this gaze attack, which paralyzes us. But more than anything, it's a long animation which wastes time. Sigma is the first one to make it all the way down to Elfheim, and he's going to return. He's going to give the Jolt tonic to this healer, who will use it and revive the Elf Prince. Elf Prince will reward us once again with the Mystic Key. And you're going to see a quick thing when the runners get out of here, is there's actually a chest that's locked. It's in a room locked by the Mystic Key here in Elfheim Castle. But the fastest way to reach the chest is to actually exit out of the castle and then quickly re-enter, so that they can circle back around to where the actual treasure room is. In here, they're going to pick up the next item that they're going to be glitching. They can pick up a mithril hammer here, and they're going to use it to glitch an item called the Thief's Armlet. And they're going to put a copy of that on all four of their characters on 3 of the 4 armor slots. We specifically do not use it on the shield slot, even though it's a 4th equipment slot or a 4th armor slot, because it has a chance to soft lock the game if you put an incorrect item on there. So there's only one item we will put it late in the game on the shield slot, but otherwise we will leave the shield slot blank throughout this course of this run in order to avoid a soft lock, or the chance of a soft lock. So they will put a copy on each of their characters, on all 4 of their characters, to raise their agility. The Thief's Armlet is another thing that's once again in the bonus dungeons of this game. So this isn't an item you would normally see in the PlayStation or the NES version of this game. It increases their agility, which increases their chances to run from encounters, which is one of the biggest reasons we pick up this item and put these items on at this point in time. So Crrool, looks like Crrool is all done with the menuing now. This is one of the more involved menus throughout the game. Crrool then stopped over and picked up the needles. If you don't pick up the needles right off the bat when you first pass Elfheim, this is a great chance to pick them up as well. Sigma was the first one to take the Mystic Key, head back to Castle Cornelia, and then he circled around to one of the locked treasure rooms at the back, used the Mystic Key, and picked up an item called the Nitro Powder. This early section of the game where you see us sailing right now is actually currently landlocked. It's just a giant, basically, sea that we can't get escape from. And in order to be able to access the other half of it, we need to take the Nitro Powder over to a cave where Sigma's walking, called Mount Dwerger, occupied by a bunch of dwarves. And one of them is planning to blow a canal that will let us pass through to the other side of the sea and get access to the rest of the map. So it looks like Sigma's the first one to reach Mount Dwerger and hand the Nitro Powder over to Narek the dwarf. So it's going to trigger a brief cutscene here. This is actually a pretty good time for the cutscene. Indy is now picking up the Nitro Powder there. Crrool is almost to Mount Dwerger. Boxmeister is just entering Castle Cornelia to pick up the Nitro Powder. So Sigma currently has a lead on Boxmeister, and it looks like Crrool currently has a lead on Indy. Again, this is not a large lead. This is entirely a lead that can be overcome over the course of the next hour and 10 minutes that they've got left in this run. No lead is safe in this game, which makes it a great racing game, but it can be a very infuriating game as a racer, as a participant of the races. It can be very frustrating if you're in a situation like myself where you're a minute ahead entering the final dungeon and you wind up losing by 2 minutes, because that can very easily happen in this kind of a run. It does make it exciting for viewers, though, I think, personally. And as someone who's not involved in this race, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So now that Sigma has blown open the canal, Crrool has just finished blowing up the canal, Indy's now entering the cutscene to blow that up, and Boxmeister's entering Mount Dwerger to do the same. Sigma's going to pass through the newly opened canal, and he's going to stop first at the nearby town of Melmond, and he's going to pick up the most important piece of equipment that we will need for our characters throughout the run. We're going to head to the the armor shop, and pick up an item called the Steel Gloves. And once again, we're going to use this as part of the equipment glitch and equip an item called the Barbarian Sword on all 4 of our characters. It's the strongest sword in the game. Once again, it's a bonus item that was included as part of the bonus content of this version, and it's only in this version of the game. So he's going to put 1 copy of the Barbarian Sword on each of his 4 characters. Due to how the equipment glitch works, he actually has to perform a formation change in order to be able to glitch it successfully into all 4 characters. So if you notice that Boxmeister's characters seem to be arranged incorrectly, it's because he was anticipating this formation change that's required in order for us to perform the equipment glitch for this item. So Sigma is now on his way. Our party, as part of the story, is trying to rekindle the 4 crystals, the 4 elemental crystals, and the first one is located here in the Cavern of Earth. We've been basically doing a giant fetch quest up to this point to try to gain access to this place. And while you could, we ultimately have to do all 4 crystals, but the only ordering restriction in the game is that we basically have to do the Earth crystal first, because an NPC later on will only reward us with a canoe if we defeat the Lich inside the Earth Cavern. And we need that in order to access the other 3 crystals. So first things first, Sigma is there in the Cavern of Earth. On the 3rd floor is where we can first start to see some dangerous encounters, so Sigma takes a safety save to guard against the chance that we run into a pack of enemies called cockatrices, which can petrify our party members. If they happen to ambush us in an unfortunate situation, they could petrify the party members before the player has a chance to act. It looks like Sigma made it all the way through the floor without an encounter, which is great luck. So Sigma has opened a significant lead on Boxmeister at this point. So we go down 3 floors on the Cavern of Earth and are confronting the vampire, so we can pick up an item in a chest called the Star Ruby. But unfortunately, we can't proceed any further in the Earth Cave at this point in time, because if we try to proceed to the end of the floor, there is a stone plate that is blocking our passage, and we don't have the item required to proceed past it. So we actually go down there, pick up the Star Ruby, and then we back out and head another direction to go pick up the item that we need in order to proceed all the way to the bottom. So Sigma is getting pretty good luck. Indy's here is getting a pack of gargoyles, which can do a bunch of damage because they do a number of attacks on our characters. So they are dangerous for damage. There's not particularly dangerous encounters here, other than the cockatrices, which can, with an ambush, they could beset us. There's some undead enemy packs which have a chance to paralyze us, which could be a really unfortunate situation if someone gets paralyzed with their whole party. And the Pisco demons that we saw in the Marsh Cave can appear here as a random encounter on the 3rd floor or lower. And they are an unrunnable encounter, the first such encounter in this run. If you see the players trying to use the Judgment Staff on a group, or if you see them killing a group, it tends to mean one of 2 things. Either they're difficult to run from and they've been giving us problems, or you cannot run from them at all. and it's one of the quickest ways to deal with them. So I unfortunately didn't see what happened with Indy, or why he necessitated a reset. He must have just gotten a very unfortunate encounter, but it's a good thing he took a safety save. Crrool has now killed the vampire and is on his way out. Boxmeister is on the 3rd floor and making his way towards the vampire. Sigma's nearly out of the cave now. So once again, it looks like Crrool's leading Indy right now, and Sigma's leading Boxmeister. Sigma's the first one out, so now he's going to head over instead of he'll head back towards the ship, but he's going to actually detour here to the left and enter the Giant's Cave. We're going to present the Star Ruby we picked up after killing the vampire to a giant there that is blocking our path, and this will satisfy him, and he'll move out of the way for us so that we can continue on to the following cave and pick up the Earth Rod. Crrool is now out of the Earth Cave. Indy's making his way back on the 3rd floor. Boxmeister's in a group with wraiths, which can paralyze our party, and they can be somewhat difficult to run from. So he's unfortunate and couldn't run this round. He's going to give it another go since he's still got 3 characters up and going. Sigma, meanwhile, has gotten into a pack of wolves in the Giant's Cave. Crrool is nearly over to the Giant's Cave as well. Sigma just exited the Giant's Cave and is going to proceed to the Sage's Cave on this small little area of land. Sigma gets a large pack of wolves, but he's able to run from them. Boxmeister, unfortunately, having too many problems with that wraith group, so in the interest of safety, he's choosing to staff them to make sure that he can continue on. And Sigma's the first to the Sage's Cave, so he's going to give, now that we've killed the vampire, side of the Sage will reward us with the Earth Rod, and this will let us proceed to the bottom 2 floors of Earth Cave. So now we're going to make our way back there and head down to the bottom 2 floors to confront Lich. Indy's nearly out on his first trip to the Earth Cave. Crrool's getting another pack of wolves, it looks like. Box is unfortunately getting another poor undead encounter in the Earth Cave, which is costing him a lot of time. And he fails to run, so out of safety, he's once again going to choose to staff, because the alternative of getting paralyzed with your entire party is worse by far. Indy's just outside the Giant's Cave. They both Sigma and Indy run into a pack of enemies called Shadows. They're an undead enemy like the others, but they do not paralyze. But in an unfortunate quirk, every encounter with them will either be preemptive or ambush. In this game, preemptive encounters, if you run into a preemptive encounter, you are guaranteed to run on your first attempt to run. So that's generally a net time gain, just to see a lot of encounters, and you want to see that. Ambush, on the other hand, all the enemies will get the opportunity to attack your party, and with certain enemy formations that can be particularly dangerous, like this group here. Sigma's already got 2 characters paralyzed, and it took a good crack at the other 2, but they weren't able to do it. So Sigma, out of safety, is going to staff this group, since he's down to 2 characters that can act. Box is finally out of the Earth Cave on the first go. Crrool is making his way back through the Giant's Cave on the return. So currently leading once again is Sigma. Looks like Crrool's in second. Indy is currently in third, Box is in fourth, but again, this is 2 head-to-head races, one between Sigma and Boxmeister, and one between Indy and Crrool. So in this case, Crrool is leading Indy, Sigma is leading Boxmeister right now. Sigma's back into the Earth Cave, and he's going to take the same path on the way down. And he's ambushed by a group of gargoyles, which can not particularly dangerous, but they can be occasionally a pain to run from. And the high number of hits they do, even though our armor reduces the damage can still add up if enough attacks keep going on. He gets away, and he continues on. Sigma gets a preemptive, which lets him instantly run from that group of spiders. Sigma makes it back to the 3rd floor and again takes a safety save just in case of a cockatrice ambush or particularly unfavorable undead ambush or something of the like, so that he can quickly reset if he needs to. Crrool as well takes a safety save. Crrool is playing on console, and there's a slight difference between console and emulator with access times for saving and loading. So emulator has a slight advantage there, but it's pretty negligible over the course of the run. Sigma proceeds past where he fought the vampire earlier, and now he approaches the slab with the earth rod, and it opens up and reveals a staircase. So we can proceed to the final 2 floors. So he's going to start first on the 4th floor of the basement, and just make his way through here. Many of the same enemies he can encounter on the 3rd floor are here as well, including this group of Pisco demons. This is, again, an unrunnable encounter, so Sigma is going to be forced to deal with these either by staffing or using his barbarian swords to clear them out. Crrool got a large group of wolves, which can be problematic if you fail to run from them because it just wastes a lot of time. Boxmeister is slowly making his way back to the Earth Cave, and Indy is in the Earth Cave again, just making his way back down. Sigma's nearly through the 4th floor now. Coming up on the 5th floor is the first of the elemental fiends that we're fighting, the Lich. Prior to fighting him, most players, if not all players, should be saving prior to Lich. His Lich is a powerful magic attack called Blazara that he can use. If he uses it, it will very likely wipe our party. So in the interests of continuing on, he'll take a safety save. The Lich himself is not particularly dangerous otherwise. If he does not use that attack, then he's not particularly dangerous to a party, and he should go down in 1 or 2 attacks of our barbarian sword, which is incredibly overpowered. He needs to do about 1,200 damage to kill him, and 2 hits takes down Lich for Sigma. So Sigma's currently in the lead, and got a Lich has a Lich time of around 32 minutes, which is a pretty good time, honestly, especially for a race. Crrool is just behind him. After that, as a short cutscene plays out while the crystal is restored. And then we're treated to a quick cutscene of a bonus dungeon opening up. Unfortunately, we're not going to see that in this run of the any percent run, but it's much more common in the other categories of this game currently. All bosses, which features the bonus content from all 4 dungeons, including and the PSP exclusive Labyrinth of Time dungeon, and full bestiary, which Crrool is one of the very few runners of that one. So he tries to go through the whole entire bestiary, and that's a pretty long run, honestly. Not many people can do that. So now that Sigma's out, he's going to make his way over to his ship, and he's going to sail over first to Crescent, where now that we've defeated the Lich, one of the elders there in Crescent will reward us with a canoe, which is an item we're going to need in order to reach the other 3 crystals. Sigma's back on his ship, and he's just going to head pretty much straight down past the peninsula coming up, and then he'll detour left, and that should take him most of the way over to Crescent, or at least the closest docking point for Crescent. Unlike a lot of the later games in the series, you can only dock at specific docking tiles in this game. I believe from every game afterwards, that was not the case. Indy getting a pack of cockatrices here, and having a little difficulty running from it, looks like. But he should have gold needles in case he gets into trouble, and luckily for him it's a small group, so it should be difficult for them to fully petrify his party. Boxmeister's now approached Lich. It looks like Boxmeister has overtaken Indy, but he's still currently behind Sigma in the race, and Indy's currently trailing behind the other 3 guys. Boxmeister takes down Lich. Nobody's having a problem with Blazara, thankfully. Sigma stops here in Crescent to buy some ethers, which will help us help our mages later on once they have some spells. And then he detours into the weapon shop to pick up a mithril axe. This is the next item we can use for glitching purposes. We will glitch an item called the Black Garb, which has even more agility and defense than the Thief's Armlet did. And he's going to put it on 2 of his characters to once again raise his chances of running and just raise their general survivability. We could put it on more characters, but with the way the equipment glitch works, it would require a formation change, which a lot of players deem it not necessary or kind of a time waste to do that, to do a formation change, put it on a 3rd character, and then be forced to do another formation change later on. So Box is exiting the Earth Cave for the last time. Indy has finally reached Lich, and we'll take him down. It looks like everybody's gotten Lich down, and nobody got Blizzard, so that's a good thing. Keeps it competitive. But Crrool's opened a couple minutes of lead on Indy, and it looks like the same for Sigma is leading Box by a couple minutes right now. There's still plenty of opportunity for them to catch up, though, with the way this game works. So Sigma, after getting that, and Crrool's now, after Crrool picking up the mithril axe, they're going over here to talk to the Elder to pick up the canoe. And then they're going to sail to the Ice Cave, which is probably the single most dangerous dungeon in this entire run. There are many, many dangerous encounters here, a number of which can wipe the party if we get extremely unfortunate. So now that Crrool likes to do the menu outside the town for some reason here, but it's just personal runner preference. Crrool is actually opting for the formation change to put Black Garbs on a 3rd character. It can raise the consistency of the running chance, and it's not a bad idea for a race. It just takes additional time, so it's personal preference for the runner. Sigma has sailed all the way and has finally entered the Ice Cave. He's going to say a quick safety save here, as just about everywhere here is particularly dangerous for our party. One quirk of the early game that we've got so far is Sigma's. We have chosen, in most cases, not to heal our fighter and thief this early in the game, as we want them to die during a certain point of the Ice Cave to facilitate grinding levels for our mages in order to get them up to level 18, so that they can gain some spells or get access to their spells quickly after this dungeon. So they're going to try to run from everything they can in the Earth Cave, or in the Ice Cave right here. I believe there's a couple combination of enemies that are unrunnable and a number that are just otherwise dangerous. Sigma's onto the 3rd floor. Sigma's on to the next floor. This is a dangerous point for Sigma here, but he gets a pretty okay encounter here. Crrool's now entered the Ice Cave. Sigma gets past the first section of the Ice Cave here, and the only way to traverse a couple of areas of the Ice Cave is to step onto some cracked ice and then drop down to a lower level and then make your way through there. Sigma dropped onto this area here and then proceeded onto a spike tile with a forced encounter, and it was an ambush. So in the interest of saving time, he chose to reset there. Box has just stopped over and picked up the mithril axe so that he can do the Black Garb menu. Indy is doing it as well over here. Sigma takes another reset. looks like he got a much more favorable encounter this time. Whether or not he can run, he got away. He walks over the icy tiles, which there's no encounter on the icy tiles, but they hurt our party by 1 each time you step over them. There's only a handful you have to step over, though, throughout this run. So Sigma's here. He's 1 floor away from getting to the Levistone and the grind that we have to do on. So Sigma's going to set up here. He's going to heal his mages and leave his warrior and thief at low health, and then he's going to step onto this tile here and force an encounter with the Evil Eye. And then he's going to defend with all of his party members in the hopes that Evil Eye uses Thundara or otherwise kills his party members off quickly. And then once he's down, ooh, that was a really unfortunate high damage roll on the Black Mage. You didn't want the Black Mage to die there, but the White Mage will get all the experience for surviving that encounter. But this is about the only real grinding point of this run where Sigma is at this point. On the tile he stepped on forces an encounter with Evil Eye each time you step on it. So his characters are currently level 13 and 10 for his mages, so he's going to basically keep running back and forth to force an encounter there and attack the Evil Eye and take it down. And over the course of maybe a little less than a dozen fights, this should level up his mages to level 18 or so. Everybody's now in the Ice Cave. Crrool's getting an encounter with Pisco Demons, which are unrunnable. Same for Boxmeister here. And Indy as well. All 3 of them are getting that. So Sigma's currently in the lead right now, with a lead over Boxmeister, and Crrool is currently leading over Indy. So Sigma's just going into the menu to check his levels every so often. Got a preemptive on Indy's side so he can run away from that. Crrool is now at the Evil Eye, and 2 of his characters actually got stoned, which is a pretty fortunate occurrence for him. Petrified characters are basically the same as dead characters in this one, so that helps him just as much for the grind as it would if he wasn't, as if they were dead. But it's even actually faster because then he doesn't have to heal them up as much when he revives them with the gold needles later. So Sigma's approaching the end of the grind, I would think, by now. Crrool's just beginning the grind, and Boxmeister and Indy are trying to make their way over to pick up the Levistone, which is where the grind takes place. The Levistone is an item we need in order to get the airship. Sigma's all done with the grind now. He's healing everybody up and taking a safety save, and then he's going to make his way out of the Ice Cave as quickly as possible. We have the Levistone. We use that to get access to the airship, which will give us access to the rest of the map that we need in order to reach the other 3 crystals. Boxmeister gets a really unfortunate encounter, but he gets away, luckily, from these Mind Flayers. The Mind Flayers have an attack called Mind Blast, which can try to paralyze all members of the party in one go. And they also have a chance to directly kill party members on attack. So his Black Mage got very lucky to not die when he got attacked, and then he got very fortunate to run away from that encounter. Sigma's running into an Ice Gigas Winterwolf encounter, which is an unrunnable encounter, which is why you see him taking the time to kill them off one at a time. Crrool is all done with a grind, it looks like, so he's rezzing his party and healing up, and then he's probably going to take a quick safety save and then continue on out. Yep. Sigma gets an encounter with Pisco Demons. Once again, they're unrunnable, so he has to take care of them. There's a large number of them, too, so that the only really effective way to deal with them is to staff a larger group of more than 4. Otherwise, your Barbarian Swords could be used to kill one at a time, each of them. Or packs of less than 4 would work as well for that. So they're still going here. This is a really poor encounter for Boxmeister here. He's very dangerous, and that's going to cause a wipe, unfortunately, for him. This Dark Wizard group casts Firaga, which can waste a lot of time and do a lot of damage to our party members, so there's not much Box can do here. Box last saved. Oh, that's going to lose a lot of time for Boxmeister. Unfortunately, he didn't take a save in her Ice Cave. So Boxmeister's now well behind Sigma. That's a really unfortunate wipe to take. He's going to have to refight Lich and go back and get the... he's going to have to go back and get the canoe, and he's going to have to go back and make his way back to Ice Cave all the way again, go all the way through it again. That's going to kill him, and it gives an enormous lead to Sigma in their race right here. That's probably enough to just about salt that match over for Sigma. It's not going to be a guarantee, but that's going to really, really hurt Box's chances. Crrool's making his way out. Sigma as well. Sigma is now out of the river section, and he's making his way down to the desert where the airship is hidden, and he's going to use Levistone to raise it from the desert. Crrool is now out of the river section as well and is just behind Sigma. But right now, just a quick reminder for those that have come in early, this is two head-to-head races. This is one between Sigma and Boxmeister and one between Crrool and Indy. Sigma's got a pretty substantial lead on Boxmeister after that unfortunate wipe. And Crrool currently has a lead on Indy right now. So Sigma has raised the airship. Crrool is just behind him. Our first destination after picking up the airship is we're going to stop over here and then walk to the Citadel of Trials and pick up the item, the Rat's Tail, that lets us class change our characters into their more powerful versions. So we detour to pick this up because of the design of the route. We pick up some spells that will aid us farther in the route, but in order to access those spells, our characters have to be class changed in order to use them. And they also need to be level 19 to use most of these spells. So that was the reason we grinded our mages to level 18 earlier, because with the experience we expect to pick up along the way here in Citadel should get us to 19. And then at that point, we'll go ahead and class change and then go pick up the spells that we're going to need for the rest of the run. Sigma got a little poison. It's not a big deal for him right there. Indy looks to be all done with the grind now in the Ice Cave. So now that he's got that, he's rezzed up his characters, and he's going to try to make his way out of the Ice Cave and see if he can't make up some time on Crrool. It's going to be tough, but there's going to be an opportunity to do that. So we head here to the Citadel of Trials, and this floor is basically a large maze of teleporters. You don't want to step into the wrong one, or it will teleport you back to the start. The runners know which ones to run into. Basically, when presented with a choice, you should take the one that's located the lower of the two. That largely holds. Sigma getting an encounter with Horn Devils, which aren't particularly dangerous. They could be occasionally a pain to run from, and they like to cast fire and just waste time. Crrool also got an encounter with them. Crrool is now in an encounter with Minotaur zombies, which are an unrunnable encounter here in the Citadel. So he's forced to take his time and kill them. Boxmeister making his way back to Crescent after that wipe. Indy's out of the Ice Cave now and making his way back to go pick up the airship. Sigma, when he stepped on that tile, it was actually forced an encounter with the enemies, the nightmares that he just saw, but luckily for him, it was a preemptive encounter, so he did not need to fight them in order to be able to get out of the encounter. With the equipment our characters currently have, it can be difficult to run from nightmares, so it's often very common for runners to choose to attack them in the interest of saving some time. Sigma will be running back over that tile, and we'll force another encounter with them in a minute. Oh, we got another encounter. Wow, it's rare to get 2 encounters in that short of a span up there. Indy's reached the desert where the airship is buried, so he's going to raise that now. Crrool seems to have taken a little bit of a lead here at the bottom. and has made his way all the way through the Citadel and picked up the Rat's Tail. Along the way, we picked up 2 other chests, one containing a healing staff and another containing a gauntlets. These are items that we're going to need for later glitches, but we won't be glitching them at this time. So we don't need them right now, but they are important to the run, especially to the very end of the run. So we detour quickly to pick them up while we're in here. Crrool's out of the Citadel and making his way back to the airship, and then he's going to go visit the Dragon King, Bahamut, and class change his characters. Sigma picks up the Rat's Tail as well at the end. He got quite a bit more encounters than Crrool did, which is why he fell behind. But he's still well ahead of Boxmeister at this point. And on this final tile of the Citadel is a forced encounter with dragon zombies. And they are, again, an unrunnable encounter, so we are forced to kill them. Indy just starting the Citadel. Crrool's just reached his airship and is heading now to the Dragon Caves. He lands on this specific one because this is the one cave that has Bahamut. There's no encounters in here, it's just 2 long corridors. Sigma having more encounter trouble, so he's just trying to save himself some trouble and kill off these enemies. Indy runs into Minotaur Zombie. Once again, that's unrunnable, so he's forced to take care of that. And Box is hoping to get through the ice cave a second time, hopefully without any more problems than he already had. I believe Sigma just took a quick safety save there, just in case of running into a sandworm enemy on this desert section, which has a chance to cast an earthquake move that can wipe the party. Boxmeister choosing to staff the Pisco Demons. They're an unrunnable encounter, and he's got to take care of them in order to proceed on. Alright, Crrool has now gone through the class change, and now he's making his way over to the first of 2 things. He's making his way first to Melman to pick up 2 spells. He's going to pick up Heal Aura here in the White Magic Shop and give it to the White Mage. And then he's going to stop over here and pick up Teleport for the Black Mage. These are 2 that we're going to need to save time in other dungeons. And Heal Aura will save us more. It saves time versus potioning our characters, and we're going to need it for the final boss. Otherwise, you're not going to see too much of it here in this run. And then Crrool goes over here to Elfheim to pick up the only other spell we're going to need for this run. Black Mage will get haste here, which will double the number of attacks. Again, it's more of an endgame spell that we need, but now we have the levels and the experience and the correct classes to be able to use those spells. So we pick them up here while we're on the way to Mount Gulg, the second of the 4 main dungeons with the second fiend, Marilith. Mount Gulg is not a particularly large dungeon. There are 5 floors. You need to traverse 2 different sections on the 3rd and 4th floors to get to the bottom. Crrool is choosing to walk on many of these lava tiles, which actually damage our party, but there are no forced encounters or no encounters that can happen on the lava tiles, which is why we prioritize walking on them. 1 damage to our party is far less time than getting into an encounter. So then Crrool gets into an Ogre Mage Hellhound, which is one of the rare unrunnable combinations here in the Mount Gulg. So he's forced to take care of that. He's now on the 4th floor. He's going to have to head back to a different section of the 3rd floor and proceed through that, and then through another section of the 4th floor. And then finally he'll get to the 5th floor, which is where Marilith is at the bottom of that one. Sigma has now finished picking up the spells he needs. Indy is now approaching Bahamut to class change. And Box is still in the ice cave. Looks like can't tell which way he's going right now. If I had to guess, he's going to head down to get to this. Yes, he's going to head down and start working on the grind, it looks like, or making his way towards where the Levistone is and start the level grind for the mages. Crrool's now on the final floor. He's finished traversing all the lava tiles in this dungeon, So he healed up his characters, and now he's going to make his way over to Marilith and take care of her. Boxmeister gets... Oh, wow. Didn't even kill his thief in that encounter. That's pretty unusual. So he's not really sure what to do here. He's just carefully considering what he wants to do before he does that. Because if the Evil Eye had chosen another attack, it could potentially wipe one of the characters he wants to grind with. So it's better to probably just kill that and reset and see what you can do on another attempt, because you're going to have to go through about 10 encounters with Evil Eye. Crrool's here on Marilith now. Sigma's on the final floor. Marilith again is pretty much a pushover. This is probably one of the easiest dungeons in the entire run. There's not many particularly dangerous encounters here. There's just a handful of unrunnables, and if you are not careful and you walk on a lot of lava tiles throughout the dungeon and then get into an encounter, you risk putting yourself in danger. Oh, looks like Box fell down early, I think, from his position where he's in the grind. Yeah, the group stage is over with at this point, McFruit. And this is now the double elimination portion of the tournament. This is the very first round of it, so nobody's at risk of being eliminated here today. This is just determining who's going to continue on in upper and which two will be knocked down to the lower bracket. Sigma is directly racing Boxmeister in this race, and Crrool is directly racing Indy. Right now, Sigma has a pretty substantial lead on Boxmeister due to Boxmeister wiping earlier to an ambush in the ice cave here, and he did not take a safety save, so that lost him quite a lot of time. Crrool is currently leading Indy, but the margin is not nearly as large in that race right now. So they both have finished up. Sigma and Crrool have now finished up Marilith. The next destination after Mount Gulg is where Crrool already went. He went over to a desert caravan and picked up a bottled ferry. In order to proceed to the next of the 4 major dungeons, we need to be able to breathe underwater. And a bottled ferry, there's a little spring here at the back of the town, and if we buy the ferry and take her here, she heads back to the spring there and rewards us with an item that will let us breathe underwater. So Sigma just went through this, or Crrool just went through the little cutscene. Sigma's in the middle of this cutscene now. Boxmeister fell down earlier in the middle of the grind and actually had to circle back around to return to this grind spot with the Evil Eye. And Indy is just taken down Marilith. So Crrool is slightly ahead of Sigma here. Indy's currently in third of these four racers, and Boxmeister's unfortunately pretty substantially behind due to some unfortunate wipes. So now that we've picked up the teleport spell, it's actually casting teleport will return us 1 floor to the previous floor that we were just on, or in the case of a town or a 1-floor dungeon, it will teleport us out. So Sigma actually chose to teleport out of Gaia, or was it Gaia? Yes, it's Gaia, in order to head back to his ship quicker and set up the next menu the next time that we'll use teleport, because we'll use teleport twice in the upcoming dungeon, the Sunken Shrine. Crrool is the first one there. Crrool. We start on the 3rd floor of the actual Sunken Shrine, and we have 2 objectives here. The first one is to go up to the top floor, the 5th floor, and pick up an item called the Rosetta Stone. in a chest there, and then we will port back to towards the start, and then head back down to the lower levels to fight Kraken, the third of the four fiends. Crrool is getting an encounter here with ghosts, one of 3 different encounters that are unrunnable here. Same for Sigma. Sigma's getting a group of ghosts. Since it's a smaller group, he can choose to use his barbarian sword to attack them. Crrool's getting a larger group of 5, which if he tried to use his sword, it would take 2 rounds minimum. So in the interest of saving time, he uses the Judgment Staff to clear them out quicker. Crrool and Sigma are both on the 4th floor. Crrool has made it to the 5th floor. This has no encounters on this floor. Crrool just has to circle around to pick up the Rosetta Stone from a chest. And then he will use the teleport spell we've just picked up for our mages, and we'll port back 2 floors. First to the 4th floor, and then to the 3rd floor, and that will put us close to where we started when we entered the Sunken Shrine, and we will head in the other direction to head towards Kraken. Sigma's now on the 5th floor picking up the Rosetta Stone up here. Boxmeister looks like he's out of the ice cave finally and is making his way over to pick up the airship. Indy is just entering Onrak now, so he'll be entering the shrine in a minute. Sigma ports back and begins his path towards Kraken. Crrool is making his way there as well. Crrool gets into a pack here with some Hagen Prince and Chiefs. This is an unrunnable encounter, and there are always 9 of them. So, in the interest of saving time, he will choose to staff them with the mages, because his other characters... He could use the Judgment Staff with his melee characters, but they will not do enough damage with the equipment that they have right now. Sigma getting another group of ghosts. Boxmeister picks up the airship over here. Indy starts making his way towards the Rosetta Stone. He's choosing to leave his character poisoned because there will be an upcoming menu where he can take care of that at the same time. So he doesn't wish to open the menu and waste the time right now. And it's not particularly dangerous to his warrior at the moment. Boxmeister landing as close as he can to Citadel and making his way over there. Crrool has reached the 2nd floor. I believe it's the 2nd floor, and has reached a chest containing the light axe. This is another item that we're going to use for glitching. We put an item called we glitch an item called the survival vests here, and put it on 3 of our characters. And then on our white mage, we use the healing staff we got earlier to glitch a pair of lordly robes and a survival vest onto the white mage to increase her intelligence so that she can staff. She can do more damage with the staff attack, as well as raise her healing for the final fight against Chaos. The unfortunate side effect of putting on the lordly robes is that compared to the other characters, this slows her down, and she may be one of the last characters to act more regularly in combat. Sigma's in the middle of this menu now. It looks like he got through it pretty cleanly. Sigma and Crrool nearly tied, it looks like, right now. Sigma gets an encounter, so Sigma briefly pulls ahead. Indy is all set with the Rosetta Stone, and now he's heading back to head towards Kraken. He got an encounter there with a Water Naga and a Water Elemental. Water Elemental is actually an unrunnable encounter, but if they happen to appear with a Water Naga, it's a runnable formation. Yes, agility seems to... Some recent research seems to indicate that agility, intelligence, and luck can all affect run chance in some form. Not so much level, I don't believe. Although level can increase your stats. agility, evasion, intellect. I think it's luck, not evasion, but it's not choosing. Sigma gets into the encounter with Kraken here. Crrool as well. Kraken's not a particularly dangerous enemy for us. A handful of attacks with the Barbarian Sword should take him down. So Sigma's slightly in the lead, but again, for those of you that are just tuning in, this is two head-to-head races that are happening at the same time. It's Sigma versus Boxmeister and Indy versus Crrool. Sigma currently has the lead on Boxmeister, a pretty substantial lead. Boxmeister got wiped in an earlier dungeon and had to reload from an earlier save, which lost him a lot of time. And Crrool is currently leading Indy. Indy's at the menu for the survival vests, which is the last main piece of armor we're going to be picking up throughout this game. Or glitching at this point. This last major piece, there's one we're going to detour quickly for after up here in the waterfall cave. So Sigma's the first one out, and he's heading towards the waterfall cave, which is nearby. So they use the canoe to go through this little river section and get to the waterfall cave. Indy getting a pack of ghosts, which are unrunnable, so he's forced to take care of them. Sigma taking a safety save at the very beginning here, just in case of an encounter with the rare green dragons here. They make their way through the waterfall cave, which is one of the highest encounter rates in the game. So there are going to be a lot of encounters here. Sigma gets into a fight with the Nightmare, which you may remember from the Citadel of Trials encounter. Now that we have the survival vest on our character, our chances to run are considerably better against the Nightmares, so we choose to run against them instead of fighting them. Boxmeister making his way back towards his airship slowly. Indy's nearly done with Sunken Shrine. He's on the final floor, making his way over to Kraken. Sigma and Crrool working their way through the waterfall cave. They're currently in the lead on their respective races. The waterfall cave is just one large windy floor. So at the very end of it is a treasure room. Inside the treasure room is also a robot guarding an item that we need. This first step after walking into the room forces an encounter. Sigma got away from it though. It's a runnable encounter. Sigma obtains the ribbon item in the one chest and then talks to the robot to pick up the warp cube, which is the first of the two items we need in order to be able to access the final crystal. We need the warp cube to access the flying fortress, and in order to enter the flying fortress, we need to obtain the chime item to be able to enter the Mirage Tower in order to port up there. So that's the first item he's got. Now that we've picked up the ribbon, we're going to perform probably one of the most... Yes, I did. I'm sorry about that. I went mute. Oops, hit my mute button. Didn't mean to do that. As I was just saying, though, like Sigma puts on, or we use the ribbon that we pick up in that chest to glitch an item called the Geegan Tax. We don't actually need the Geegan Tax itself. We just need the item in our inventory in order to glitch the Geegan Tax into multiple copies of the ribbon, and then we put that one copy of the ribbon on each of our characters to raise their chances to resist all status effects, including death, and lower the damage they take from elemental attacks. And we put that, and the other quirk of that is that we can actually equip the ribbon on the shield slot that we've left empty for the entire run, because the ribbon is one of the few items that actually will not soft lock if we happen to get into encounter. It actually calls up a blocking animation that's valid, even though it's clearly not a normally used blocking item and isn't intended for that slot at all. But it will not soft lock the game to put it on that slot, so which is why we put it on there. Indy making his way through the waterfall cave. Crrool, after we got out of there, we took the Rosetta Stone over to Melmond and gave it to Dr. Un, who looks at it and realizes that it's what we need in order to learn the Luthenian language, and then he teaches us Luthenian using that. And after that, we can head to Luthenia and actually converse with the NPCs there. And one NPC there has the chime, which is the second item we need in order to get into to reach the final crystal. Crrool getting encounters with Minotaur zombies on this walk over to Luthenia. Sigma the same. This is an unrunnable encounter, whether they appear by themselves or with trolls. Both formations are actually unrunnable. So it looks like Sigma's just slightly ahead and is made it to Luthenia. And unfortunately, a lot of the passages in Luthenia are a little narrow, so NPCs can occasionally block our path here. And Sigma picks up the chime. Indy got an unfavorable encounter on the spike tile. Looks like he got another unfavorable encounter on the forced encounter tile in Waterfall Cave, so he's choosing to reset just to try to get a better one. Sigma's getting unrunnable encounter. Another ambush. That's 3 ambushes. What the heck's going on with Indy? Never seen that. Boxmeister finishing off Marilith. Indy finally gets one that cooperates with him and runs away. Picks up the ribbon and then talks to the robot shortly after, but he's going to perform the glitch first, it looks like. So both Crrool and Sigma are now making their way back to their airship. Now that they have both items to reach the final crystal, they will head in first into the Mirage Tower, and then when they reach the final floor of that, they will use the warp cube to port over to the Flying Fortress, and they'll make their way over to Kraken. Or I'm sorry, Tiamat. Looks like Crrool got a slight lead back over Sigma. But once again, they're both racing the other 2 racers individually. So Sigma and Crrool are the current leaders of these respective races right now. Indy's doing his best to hang in there, and Box is just plugging along. Sigma looks like he's once again in the lead, and then looks like Crrool just leapfrogs him again. This particular floor of Mirage Tower has a very, very high encounter rate. So we may see them leapfrog each other a few more times before this floor is over, although Crrool gets an ambush, which is going to lose him a bunch of time. Looks like Crrool got ahead again. See if the encounters hold. Another poor encounter for Crrool there, though. Sigma's so close to getting off that floor now. And he makes it, so he's in the lead a bit now. This is the final floor, and as soon as he steps through this door, he gets into an encounter with the blue dragon. This is a forced encounter. You can't run from it, so he's forced to kill the blue dragon to proceed on. And then he steps on this little teleport pad up here. And he goes to the... Now Sigma starts making his way through the Flying Fortress. There's 5 floors here. Crrool steps on the forced encounter tile with the blue dragon. Indy's nearly done. He's beginning his walk to Lefenia to pick up the chime in order to get to the enter the Mirage Tower. Box is just making his way over, and he's near on-rack, heading towards the Sunken Shrine. Sigma's now on... He's already on the 4th floor. That was pretty quick. Sigma's making pretty short work of this. He's now on the final floor. He's healing, and we'll take a safety save here, just in case we run into one of the rarest encounters in the game, Warmech, who can only appear on this floor of the Flying Fortress. It's a 1 in 64 encounter rate, though, so it's unlikely to be seen, but there's always the chance. And it's pretty hype when we get to see that. It's pretty rare. I think only one has actually shown up through all the tournament races at this point. Crrool's now on the 4th floor. The 4th floor is actually like an endless maze. You just need to basically head two sections vertically and 2 sections in any either left or right, and you will end up at the other teleporter tile. Well, let's hope we see him. Crrool's now on the final floor as well. I didn't see him there for Crrool. They could still see them on the way out of this dungeon here, because there's a small... They have to walk a few steps to reach the teleporter at the back. Crrool's entering Tiamat now. Tiamat is just like all the other fiends at this point. He's a bit of a pushover for us with the equipment and the items that we have. He goes down in just a handful of hits to our barbarian sword attacks. Boxmeister's onto the 5th floor of the Sunken Shrine and is making his way to the Rosetta Stone. No Warmechs yet. We still got 2 other players that can get it, and let's see if they get them after that, too. Sigma does not get an encounter. Okay. I agree. We could really use more Warmech in this tournament. Let's see if Crrool can get... Well, Crrool's waiting for the cutscene, and then he's going to have one last chance to try to get Warmech before he runs out. Indy's now entered the Mirage Tower. He's making his way up there. Indy could be our last real hope for that Warmech. We'll have to see. Sigma's all done, and he's made his way back to the Chaos Shrine at the start of the game. Back where we fought Garland is now, now that we have the 4 crystals, there's a teleport pad that we can use to travel back in time to confront the Demon Chaos. So we just got to present all 4 crystals in order to open up the access. Boxmeister getting an encounter with Ghost, which is unrunnable. Sigma is now entering the final dungeon here, so he's going to take a quick safety save because there's a large number of dangerous encounters throughout this shrine. So we start first on the 1st floor. And on this particular floor, we're likely to run into either white dragons or purple worms are the most common encounters on this floor. This white dragon ambush is very unlucky for Sigma. Lucky for him, all 4 chose not to use their Ice Storm move, but if all 4 do on an ambush, it can wipe the party. Or significantly hurt the party, at least. Right now he's gotten, I think, 4 Ice Storms over 2 rounds, which has killed his mage. And he's trying to run, and he does get away, but it does hurt his party and slow him down a little bit. Crrool is making his way on the 1st floor as well. Doesn't get any encounters as far as I can see. Makes his way all the way up to the 3rd floor. So Crrool's once again leapfrog Sigma for the lead at the moment. Indy on the forced encounter with the blue dragon, and he's about to head into the Flying Fortress. Sigma's making his way. Crrool runs into this room, which is guarded by Death Eye, which is a forced encounter. Oh, and then he ran the wrong way and ran into another encounter with Death Eye. Whoops. Are they on pace for sub 120? I believe Crrool and Sigma may very well be on that pace. Indy is, unfortunately, I think, not going to be on that pace, and Boxmeister is significantly behind. I'm sorry. Sigma steps on the Death Eye encounter tile and then approaches this little slab up here, and the loot that we picked up in the very first few minutes of the game is we played here to remove this little slab that's blocking our path. Crrool starts making his way down now that we've gotten past the loot. So is Sigma. And here we are for Indy. Indy's on the 5th floor, so this is it's our chance for Warmack right here. He's taking a safety save just in case. Sigma's getting an encounter with Ice Gigas and Winterwolf, and it's an odd number of enemies, like 5 enemies, so he's forced to staff it. He's going to actually only do it with his White Mage, as the White Mage with the higher intelligence she has from the Lordly Robes is able to one-shot them with the Judgment Stabs. Indy does not get Warmack on the way over to Tiamat, so we'll have to see if he gets it on the way out or not. Crrool and Sigma both getting White Dragons. They're a runnable encounter here. They're just they can be dangerous if they ambush or just do enough Ice Storm attacks to slow us down. Crrool's getting Purple Worms, which is one of the unrunnable encounters here. Tiamat is down for Indy. Kraken is down for Boxmeister. Crrool and Sigma are now on the refight floors. So on this and the next 3 floors that they run into, they will run into a stronger version of each of the fiends they've already defeated. Crrool getting Earth Elementals, which is another one of the unrunnable encounters you can find here. Sigma's approaching the Lich, the forced encounter tile with Lich, and he's taking the lead once again. He chose not to heal, I don't think. Or actually, no, he's already mostly healed. He's going to just go in with Lich and hope for the best. Lich can cast Flare here, just like we can cast Flare with our staff. Lich can cast Flare here, and pretty easily usually take down 2 of our party members, if not 3 or more. But he's no problem for Sigma here. Crrool is nearly to Lich. Sigma makes his way to the 2nd floor, which has Marilith on it and a lot of the fire enemies that we found in Mount Gulg here. Crrool taking a quick check of his health just to make sure that he's okay against Lich. And Crrool gets Lich down without any problems. Sigma's almost through Marilith's floor. Yeah, Sigma's one consequence of this route is that occasionally the Black Mage can end up with a relatively low amount of health, which may prove problematic for the final boss Chaos. Sigma steps onto the encounter tile with Marilith and does not have her cast Firaga, which is one of her longest attacks and most damaging. Indy is beginning to start the final dungeon. Boxmeister's just chugging along. He's currently in the waterfall cave, nearly to the end at this point. Alright, Sigma's down with Marilith. Crrool just got her down as well. Sigma's onto the 3rd floor, the Kraken floor, and he gets an encounter with water elementals, which are unrunnable here. Indy having a good run here. And he gets an encounterless shrine up to Death Eye. That's a pretty rare occurrence, and probably saved him a lot of time. I'm not sure it's enough to catch him up to Crrool, but it's a good time save. Crrool getting water elementals here. Sigma's getting this pack of enemies which ambushed him, slowing him down. They're both making their way through the floor. Looks like Sigma's just slightly ahead. That was probably a gold split for Indy, I'm sure. Because that's a pretty good... it's always nice when you can get no encounters on there. Sigma facing Kraken on the refight. Crrool just behind him. Kraken may take more than one round depending on the damage rolls from our characters. Sigma gets him down. Crrool just a second behind him. But one final reminder that it's not a four-way race. It's not a free-for-all four-way race. There are two races going on here. It's Sigma versus Boxmeister, and Indy versus Crrool. Sigma and Crrool are currently the leaders of their respective races. Boxmeister's picked up the warp cube and the ribbons, and he's warping back out. Indy starts making his way. Both are on Tiamat. Sigma chooses to attack instead of using the haste strategy that's pretty common. Crrool actually chose to haste his ninja there. Boxmeister getting an encounter with Hellhounds and Ogre Mages, which are unrunnable up there. It's kind of a rare occurrence there. Crrool's the first one to the final floor. Sigma's literally just a second or two behind him. You probably want maybe 225 or maybe probably 250 or more. It's probably a good number. That should be pretty. That should guard him against most of the worst attacks that Chaos can do. In this as the setup for the final fight, you will heal up your party, use ethers on your mage to make sure she's got all the MP that she needs for the final fight, and then we do one last equipment change. We glitch a golden staff onto the white mage to increase her healing once more, and then we take off the survival vest that she has on in order to guarantee that she's the last member of our party to act every round, including after Chaos. That way we can guarantee that she heals after any damaging attack, and that Chaos doesn't get two attacks in out of order, or two potentially damaging attacks that can really wipe our party. So in order to consistently make sure that that we can survive the attacks, we lower her speed so that she's the last to act every round by taking off her equipment. Indy gets liched down. The fight right here, this is the final fight against Chaos. The general strategy here is the Black Mage is going to haste the Warrior, the Thief, and himself. The White Mage is going to be on healing duty the whole time. The Warrior and the Thief may opt to use Giant's Tonics up front to just increase the maximum health of our characters. And if they're not doing that, they're usually just attacking with their Barbarian Swords. This will take usually 6 or 7 rounds depending on the RNG that we're given here. There could be a number of differences in his attacks. I mean, Chaos used a physical attack on Sigma, which can be dangerous if it crits one of our characters, particularly our White Mage, but it is easily the quickest attack he can do in terms of how long it takes. Right here, Chaos is using his Blaze attack, which takes time and does a lot of damage to all of our party members, but it's not particularly damaging to us at this point in time. But if it's followed up by his other elemental attacks, such as Tsunami or Cyclone, it can waste a lot of time and do a lot of damage to our party. Sigma's getting some pretty cooperative physicals right here. Yeah, the perfect Chaos it's either all or all but one. I don't think I've ever seen a perfect fight with all physicals, but I've seen all but one be physical or something like that. So let's see what happens here. Chaos is casting Slow Row, which is perfectly fine. It just slows our character down, but it's not particularly damaging to us. Oh, look at that. Look at that tie. Cool. Exactly 130, Sigma 130.01. I have to check the race channel on that one for those. But that makes them the winners of their respective races. According to the timer, the SRL timer, Crrool got a 130.01 and Sigma got a 130.03. So Crrool sniped that with 2 seconds. Unfortunately, that's going to knock Indy and Boxmeister down to the lower bracket, but neither one is eliminated here today. But they're just going to work and finish it out. Indy's now on Kraken, the third of the 4 refights. Boxmeister is making his way through the Mirage Tower on the way to Tiamat, and then he's going to head to the final dungeon after that. Yeah, you guys can probably join the voice here. Congratulations, Crrool.
Thank you.
So how was that run for you?
That was a pretty good run. Not gonna lie. Had a pretty meh early game, it felt like, but just started picking up speed from there, basically. So,
hey guys, what's up?
Hey, Sigma.
Congratulations.
Hey, thanks. That's a really close race there at the end. Even though we were competing against each other, still like 1 second apart.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, I knew we were close. I knew it was going to be close between the two of us. To see us finish a second apart like that, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So it may not have been a race between the two of us, but a good race nonetheless, Sigma.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I tell you what, I golded the vampire split and I took a safety save.
Nice.
And I still golded it by 8 seconds, so it was insane. So I'm pretty happy with that race for sure. That was a good match.
Definitely. I was surprised that I actually golded my Death Eye split, and that's with the fake golds in there, so was kind of surprised to see a gold there.
Yeah. I also golded I don't remember, Garland, I think. No, or Pirates. Yeah. One of those two.
I hope Indy golded his Death Eye split, because I don't think he got any encounters on the way to Death Eye.
Wow.
He seemed to be practically the same on me on the Death Eye split. I saw that I had live comparison against them up, so I pretty much knew at any point where I was on him. And I saw his Death Eye pop. I was like, dude, he must have had one crazy Death Eye right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think unfortunately Boxmeister got the worst of all the RNG today.
I saw he had to reset. What happened?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that one as well. I saw that he had a Death in Ice, but
I don't think he took a safety save, which is the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's painful.
Because when he lost, it was Dark Wizards, and when he reloaded, he was right in front of a Lich.
Ooh, that is a painful one to not safety save for.
Yeah. Indy actually took a safety save in front of that spike tile in the waterfall, and he actually had to reset 3 times because he got 3 straight ambushes out of it.
Ouch. That explains why he lost so much time on me there then. I was looking at the splits, I was like, wait, he lost almost a minute? How? But that would explain it.
Yeah, I reset before this, or I saved before the spike tile in Ice Cavern, and I had to reset twice. First time I got an ambush. Second time I got 3 characters paralocked, and then I defended with my 4th. So
Boxmeister gets Tiamat down, so he's gonna wrap up. This is one last chance for Warmech, it looks like.
yeah,
I don't think anybody got him, though.
I sure didn't.
It looks like Indy is finished up as well.
Oh, congrats, Indy.
That was definitely an interesting race, and I will say, like, with everything that happened over the course of my run, it was pretty solid. But still, I was seeing in chat that Sigma was that close. I was like, okay, this is gonna be down to Chaos's shrine for the 2 of us.
Yeah, you guys leapfrogged each other a couple times.
Yeah, I had a bad Death Eye split. I got Ice Dragons. That's my first encounter as an ambush, and then I couldn't run, and I barely lived through that.
And Crrool, you had 2 Death Eyes, as I recall.
Yeah, that's a mistake I've never made before, so that's an interesting one.
I think I did that yesterday in my race, actually.
Like, I was so excited that I golded that split, because I know that the golds that I have on my splits are ridiculous, because there are a lot of fake golds in there. And so I noticed that I was about to gold that, and I got so excited that instead of pressing up, which was what I was trying to do, I accidentally pressed down, and then immediately after went to up, so I ended up fighting him again. It's like, oh crap, did I just do that?
Hey, free experience, right? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Although he only gives 1 experience point, so
Oh, that's right.
you know, lots of free experience there. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, Indy. Congrats. Hello?
Hey, Indy?
No, that was me. It just nobody was saying anything. I thought I had gotten disconnected.
He's in the channel, I just don't hear him talking yet. Nope, he left the channel when he came back.
It's like Indy is having some technical issues, I suppose.
Yeah.
We see you here, we just can't hear you. So Boxmeister's still making his way through. He's just starting the Chaos Shrine. He's getting some White Dragon encounters. There we go. So yeah, Boxmate, I mean, he obviously had that wipe, but he also fell down while he was in the middle of the grind unnecessarily.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw him say something in chat, and then I looked at the screen and I saw him fall down. I was like, "Oh man, that's rough."
Yeah, and it's especially in the case of someone like Boxmeister, who's still very new to the game, which means he probably isn't aware of all the backups and all the alternative strategies that you could do if something like that happens.
I think he fell down early enough in the grind that he just chose to circle all the way back around to continue the grind.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the wise move if you're low enough level. You can definitely get faster on the Evil Eyes than you can on Dragon Zombies and Citadel. Which, yeah, I had a absolutely dreadful Citadel. I lost a lot of time there.
Yeah, my Citadel was actually pretty good. kind of happy with how that Citadel ended up.
Yeah, but I had
I can see it on the comparison as well. I was like a minute and a half behind you on Evil Eye, and then was like 40 seconds ahead of you at Citadel.
Yeah, I just got lots of encounters and these Horn Devil packs, and I couldn't run from them. I got 3 of them that I failed to run from on the first try. Those were my nemesises today.
I gotta say, the early game between all you guys was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
It didn't really. I'm trying to think where it separated out.
I saw Indy getting like a 902 crown, if I recall.
Yeah, he was in the lead at one point. I think.
Yeah,
I know.
I
At
saw
least
it.
3 of you guys were in the lead at one point. I can't remember if Box was in the lead or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I had a pretty good early game. I know. I golded the split that I golded besides Vampire was the boarding the ship split. Basically between Astos and getting on the ship on the way to Matoya. I had like maybe 4 encounters total and ran from them easily. So it's always good to get 2 golds in one run, especially during a race.
Boxmeister working on the refight with Lich right now. And he's got him down. No flare here today. I don't think anybody got flare today, did they?
Yeah, I didn't get it. I was really surprised.
No, I didn't get it either. Was positively surprised on that one.
I don't remember seeing anybody get flare. I'm not even sure I saw anybody get Faraga.
I didn't get that one either. I did make a mistake on Tiamat 2, and I forgot to use haste.
Yeah, I saw that one.
But fortunately, he did physical attacks on me on turns 1 and 2, so I was good.
Okay.
There he is.
Yeah, but it's my webcam. I don't know. It's for fuck's sake.
Well, GG on the race.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you think you did?
This was probably the worst run I've ever had. I don't know what to say. This felt like so worse than anything else.
Yeah, I didn't see you make any obvious mistakes. It just seemed like mostly RNG throughout the run.
Yeah, I mean, probably the worst thing was on the waterfall cave where I saved before the spike tail and got a 9 encounter ambush and reloaded and got another 9 encounter ambush and reloaded again and got another 9 encounter ambush and it like what? Why? This is
I can't say I've ever seen that happen before.
Yeah, that's unique.
I mean, and then just simple things like not running away from simple encounters like wolves and failing 3 or 4 attempts is just like, oh, I hate this game. I hate this game so much.
I know that feeling. Sometimes it's really, really frustrating, but other times it's pretty awesome. So
Let's take a look quickly. With the win today, Sigma, you advance in the winner's bracket, and you'll face the winner of Double Drop and INEB, which I believe Double said they've scheduled for tomorrow now.
okay, that's interesting. Ajnab was in my group, so if he does win, it'll be a rematch.
And then with Crrool's win against Indy, Crrool will advance to face the winner of Shinbreaker and Lannis 07, which has yet to be played. And then Indy joins me and Boxmeister both join me now down in the lower bracket while we wait for our next opponents. Now I got some company down here, though. Not as lonely. In the meantime, we got Boxmeister on the final refight with Tiamat. Looks like he's doing pretty good. He's got him down. And he's making his way now to the final floor. He got one last Purple Worm encounter, though. One last screw you on this run. And what do we got? Boxmeister is just about there now. Boxmeister's in the final menu now, so he's going to just heal up, make sure he's got enough MP on his White Mage. He's going to put the golden staff on his White Mage and take the survival vest off by putting on the clothes, and then just take a quick safety save before this fight, and he'll begin the fight. He should be able to cut 150, but I mean, that's going to be, for just about any of the runners in this one right now, it's kind of a disappointing time. But Boxmeister unfortunately had some poor RNG and some bad mistakes, which cost him quite a lot of time in this run today.
Yeah,
So
I think
with
his last race, wasn't it like about a 130 or 131? So
I know Boxmeister. I mean, Boxmeister's a solid runner. This is just the nightmare run that you're trying to avoid in this tournament.
Yeah.
So Boxmeister begins by, I think he's just going to go for it, looks like. Oh, he's going to tonic the Black Mage because the Black Mage is just a little low on health. But he's going to opt to just go ahead, straight ahead and attack with his Thief, it looks like. Gets by Blaze round 1, so that's a good sign. Now that he's got past that, I think he's just going to go for it and attack with his Warrior and Thief, and haste with his Black Mage, heal with his White Mage. And hopefully Chaos cooperates. So here we got Tsunami. Just a slow attack, does a lot of damage to all the party members. Hopefully you're trying to avoid that to save time, but luckily it doesn't wipe anyone for him. So he heals up, and hopefully he can dodge Cyclone this round to try to keep himself on a good pattern. And Chaos cooperates and uses a physical attack. So Box should be in pretty good shape at this point. Another physical on the Thief this time. And save some time compared to the other attacks that Chaos can use. Chaos uses Cyclone here, which is Chaos's longest animation and probably his most damaging animation. But the health should be good for all of his characters to survive that. And there shouldn't be any other major spells at this point that can really hurt him. And there it is. Box finally gets at 149. Let's see what the time was.
Yeah, 149.26 according to the SRL race.
So Crrool defeats IndDragPack by about 5 minutes today, and Sigma beats Box by just a little under 20 minutes due to some very unfortunate circumstances. I don't know if Box wants to talk after that one or not. Oh, I guess he does want to talk. Yep. Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Boxmeister. Good race. Unfortunate luck for you, it looks like.
Oh Lord, that was a complete train wreck, that run.
I guess we'll begin by saying we're sorry.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do about it. Basically, I mean, yeah. Well, I would have even if I would have lost that 10 minutes, I would have lost anyways. From the looks of it.
So, do you regret not saving in
Yeah,
Ice Cave then?
I had a pretty good run. That beat my previous best race in this tournament by 3 minutes. So I got some good luck, and just looks like you just got really bad luck, and that's just the nature of this game, unfortunately. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I don't really regret saving in Ice Cave. I mean, sure, this can always happen in Ice Cave, but well, I usually tend to save before Evil Eye. Well, yeah, I mean, it could have just as well gone right. I mean, what happened to me is not very common. So, well, it was worth the risk, and I lost basically.
I mean, we saw that Dark Wizards were wiping you. Was it an ambush? Was it just a regular encounter that you couldn't run from? Because I didn't see what it was.
It was an ambush. My white mage survived though, so well, I had two options. I could have tried to run with my white mage, or I could have tried to kill them all with the judgment staff. I went for the judgment staff because I thought, well, usually my white mage is slower anyways, so I might as well try with the judgment staff, and I completely lost.
Yeah, we saw that really hurt you, and then when you back to the ice cave, it looked like you unfortunately fell down early, which just compounded the mistakes from earlier.
Well, I was a bit surprised that my thief actually survived the Thundara against Evil Eye. I mean,
I saw that. That was also really unfortunate.
I was like, how? But then I saw it had a really, really high HP, and then I was like, oh, well, yeah, sure.
It was kind of a low roll on Thundara, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what exactly happened there. Overall, the conclusion was that the game really hated me today. I mean, the RNG afterwards wasn't that good either. So, yeah. There's not much more to say about that. I mean, I was hellbent on finishing the race, so that's for sure. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, props to you for continuing that one, because that can really, even a forfeit would have been like attractive after that kind of a mess.
Yeah.
I did after I died. I did know, well, since I lost anyway, I might as well watch the match. So I had the match on my second screen. So I really saw the close finish, and I was amazed because last race I've also had a close finish like that as well, and I was like, wow. Crrool and I were talking about it earlier today on his stream. So it was really nice to see that happen again. Yeah,
definitely. That was a lot of fun.
It's always nice to see close races, even if they weren't directly racing each other. It's still pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and I didn't know who had won between the two of us until I checked the SRL after I hit the last split.
Yeah, I had to double check too, just to see what was happening. But I think we're all set here, so I think we're going to throw it back over to Feasel, because I believe there's some Mega Man X2 races coming up pretty quick.
All right.
So
Well-
thanks again, everybody. Thanks again to Feasel for hosting. Thanks Box, Drag, or Indy, Sigma, and Crrool all for racing today.
And thank you,
Thanks everybody
Porsight,
for
for the
watching here.
commentary. Yeah,
Thank
and
you guys.
thanks to Feasel for hosting us. So.
Alrighty, guys. We'll let you get on to the next race tonight.
All right.
Alrighty, have a good one.
Bye.
See you later.